everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. This story follows multiple characters within the small town in England called Packford. One of its citizens' very fair brother dies, and this ends up leaving a vacant spot within the local government, and so there is now what is called a casual vacancy, and an election will be held to see who will be taking his spot. But obviously this story is about a lot more than that. It follows the lives of multiple different characters who are all somehow affected by the death of Barry. I went into this book not really knowing if this was going to be a great book or not because I had heard a lot of negative things about it. There are a lot of people I know who didn't like this book or didn't finish this book, and once I got into it I could very much see why. The first 250 pages or so are really slow going and kind of boring. It's all very character driven. Each chapter or part is split up into sections, and so each section follows a different character. You're constantly seeing every character's point of view through each day of the week, and so a lot of the times you're spending the beginning parts of the story just trying to figure out who all of these characters are because it keeps switching back and forth between characters, and so it feels really slow in the beginning. If I hadn't been warned ahead of time that the book was going to be like this in the beginning, I probably would have stopped myself because it wasn't holding my attention whatsoever. I was basically just forcing myself to read through these pages because I had heard it gets much better towards the end, which it does. All of the characters in this book are very flawed. Almost everyone in this book is very privileged. The way they view the world is very negative. Everyone seems to think they have the worst life ever, and they are constantly comparing themselves to the other characters without realizing that those characters are also going through pretty bad things as well. It could get really frustrating because you just want to yell at all these people and be like, your life really isn't that bad, or you're making everything seem worse than it really is, and it got really frustrating for me, and that's another reason why I probably would have put this book down, because while I'm not someone who necessarily needs to love a character or relate to a character in order to love a book, having a book where characters just complain all the time isn't really all that enjoyable either. There are a lot of characters in this book who I really could have done without. I really had no care whatsoever for Fats, who is one of the teenagers in this book, and there's nothing in this book that he did that I enjoyed reading about. And every time he was introduced into the story or he became part of the narrative again, I really hated it. Same thing with Samantha, who is one of the wives in this story, and just everything she does and everything she says is so ridiculous to me, and I just didn't like it whatsoever. But there are actually some characters who I did enjoy. I really liked Crystal. I think she was my favorite character in this whole story. Anytime it was about her or her family, I loved reading about them and their story. I really felt for their characters, and I really wanted to just spend the entire book with them, preferably, and not with all the other characters in this book. When you're reading this book, it definitely feels like you're reading a J.K. Rowling book. Her writing style is very descriptive, but it obviously is not Harry Potter or anything Harry Potter related. This is definitely a book where I would hesitate recommending this book necessarily to people who like Harry Potter because there's no similarities really. However, I don't feel like this book is a waste of time, even though the first 200 pages or so might be really difficult to get through. I really did enjoy it by the end, and I feel like the last 250 pages really flew by, and I felt really connected to some of the characters by the end of it, which is something that J.K. Rowling does really well. I just really wish that someone had been around in the beginning to edit, because I feel like you could have cut the first half by like 50 or 100 pages and it would have made it so much better, because it just drags so much. And I understand the need for giving background information or for providing depth to the characters, but it just felt a little bit too much for this book. In the end, I would give The Casual Vacancy a 3.5 out of 5 stars because I did find it enjoyable, but I didn't completely love it, mostly because of the way the beginning was. If the beginning was different, then I probably would have given this a 4 stars. The ending really did redeem it for me, but I still do understand why people don't like this book or people didn't end up finishing this book, because getting through that first half is really difficult. Let me know what you guys think if you've read this book already. Feel free to leave comments down below. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.